Well, hello there once again, and welcome to Rediscovering Your Passion and Purpose with Patty. I am your host, Patty Stuhlin, and I'm the Chief Pathfinder of Pathways with Patty. Today, we have another wonderful guest. Her name is Rashi Nayar. She is a heart-centered business coach. She helps high-achieving business owners and coaches to grow their business exponentially from their heart space. Business is a spiritual game, so the more we play this game from our heart and have fun, the more money we make with ease and flow. Rashi, it is a true pleasure to have you here. I mean, especially because we had such a good call a couple weeks ago. I know that today, this episode, people are going to benefit in so many ways from your wise words. Thank you once again for being here today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Patty. I really appreciate, connecting with you and being able to offer value. Yeah.
Awesome. So how are you?
I'm doing great, actually. It's that time of the season, the fall season, it's one of my favorite seasons. It's actually one of my favorite season. It's, the leaves from the trees are shedding, and it's like I relate to that as part of things like letting go, right? The trees are letting go of the leaves that are not serving it. It's the same thing with our human beings. It's like letting go of what doesn't serve us anymore and
Yes.
just getting tuned into what does and just bringing ourselves into alignment. So I really, really enjoy it. Plus, also the weather's really fresh and crisp mornings. I love that.
Awesome. That is a great way to look at it. So I know from our brief talk that we had a couple weeks ago, you have another incredible story. In fact, I related to it on so many levels, and it even brought tears to my eyes because of it being so relatable to me. And I know that being heart-centered is going to touch the heart of many of our audience today. So with that said, please tell us about discovering and rediscovering your passion and purpose from where you were to where you are today.
Yeah, absolutely. So how it all began was really back in 2006. I was just this, like studying for my IT degree. I was doing master's in information technology from India. And I was just living a blissful life. Really, I didn't know much about just going with the flow kind of thing. Really, nothing major had happened in my life at this point, and I was completely in love with my 2-year-old dog. His name was Leo, and a Maltese Lhasa Apso cross, beautiful white colored dog. And he was the light of my life. Everything. He was just the first time I had experienced unconditional love. Our parents love us, and don't get me wrong, but they're always very critical of us, and they're always like correcting us and kind of guiding us. But when you experience animals in your life, especially dogs or babies, they love you unconditionally. They even love your flaws, and they just love you just from the bottom of their heart. You can just be yourself with them, right?
They believe you are perfect.
Exactly. They really do. And they just don't judge you. They create that space of just love and presence. And that was the relationship I had with him. And so what happened was I was just, one afternoon I was just sitting and just playing with him. And then we had a caretaker who would always take him for walks in the afternoon. And then when he came back from the walk, my dog was not breathing. He was just like very shallow breathing, and he was just my caretaker. He was crying, and I was like, "What happened? Like, what happened?" I instinctively knew that something miserable had happened, and he told me that he was dragged by a car. Because we lived on a very busy street, and it was in India. It's very crowded anyways. Like there's a lot of traffic. So he just kind of took him with the leash. Like the car came and just took him with the leash cut stuck in the tire and all of that. And I was just in that moment, I felt like my whole life was collapsing. Like everything was coming to an end, basically for me. Like the love that I knew, the unconditional love that I'd known and never experienced before was kind of coming to an end. And it was like, please don't go. Like I really wanted to hold on to him. And I was like, please, like for the love of God, just stay. And as I was carrying him in my arms and he was taking his, last breath, we were taking him to the vet to in the car, and I was like, just do something, and within moments he was gone. And that was really the turning point in my life. Like that was the moment when I started questioning everything in my life. Everything that I knew about life came to an end. And that was the beginning of a new journey for me. Let's call it a spiritual journey, whatever it was. I just started asking these big questions of, what is life? What is death? Like, why do we die? I'd never experienced death before that in my family. And it was the first time I had experienced it. And he was just 2. So it was like very, we were just building that love.
He was still a puppy.
He was still a puppy, exactly. And it was just like those big questions, like, who am I? Why am I here? What is my purpose? Like, why did he go so early? I started talking to like pet psychics online, and it was still a very new thing. The internet was a very new thing back in 2006 in India. And I was just going to these internet cafes and just like asking these pet psychics, like, where is he? I just wanted to talk to him. I just wanted to connect with him. I was very desperate. And of course, nothing happened. And everyone's like, he's in heaven. And I was like, what is heaven? Like, I want to meet God. Like, what the hell? I was angry. I was really angry. I was angry. I was disappointed. And I was like, you just took away the most precious thing in my life. Like, what the hell? And, I was at the time I was in a relationship, I was engaged. I broke that. And everything started to kind of just fall apart. But it was also at that time, if I look back, it was also falling into place. But it was at that time I felt like everything was falling apart.
You don't see that.
No, you don't see that, right? And that led me to a spiritual discovery or spiritual journey when I started reading these great mystic leaders like Osho and Adyashanti and Rupert Spira, the works of the great mystics, like these spiritual teachers. I was just inquiring, like doing a self-inquiry process, because I'd heard about this term called enlightenment, and I was really curious about that. I was like, what is enlightenment? It's like, there's this promise at the end that when you get enlightened, you meet God. And I was like, great, I'm gonna get enlightened, I'm gonna meet God, and then I'm gonna ask. That was the plan, right? I'm gonna get enlightened, meet God, and then I'm gonna ask him, where's Leo? Like, I want to meet him. That was the plan. So enlightenment became the big shiny object in my life. Like, that was it. That was the purpose of my life. And as years went by, I just started reading more and more about it, started attending meditation retreats, started doing a lot of meditation, and just I wasn't getting the answers. I was just getting.
You weren't getting enlightened.
No, I was not getting enlightened at all, right? And I was just like going to this spiritual teacher's retreat and then in 2012, I moved to Australia, in Melbourne, Australia, and to do another master's degree in IT. So where I came from, in India, we either become a doctor or an IT engineer. Like, there's no in between. Right?
Okay.
So that's kind of like, I mean, it's changed, but at that time, it was like your parents decide your career for you, right? That kind of thing. And I didn't know any better, and I was just like, just doing what my parents had asked me to do. But I knew I wasn't living my purpose. I knew it, right? The more degrees I was getting, the more dissatisfied I was becoming from it. And I also worked in an IT company in India, and it was like I wasn't feeling that connection with work. Like, it was like something is off completely. Like, that's not what I meant to do.
Because it felt like work.
It felt like work. Exactly. It felt a chore, not even, it felt like a chore, like just going to office, going to that IT company that I was working with, and just being so disconnected with this all tech thing. And imagine I have two degrees, master's degrees, and I just feel completely out of alignment. So in Australia, I was like, I got this opportunity to start my own coffee shop. I was really passionate about food. So I was like, my sister and I, we started a coffee shop. And it was all fun, and we grew it to $1.2 million. Like, we started from nothing, like literally.
Awesome.
And it was like a big success. So that happened, but I was still like, it was like I was missing that piece, that enlightenment. When is that going to happen? I was always like going to retreats and doing hiring coaches, spiritual coaches to coach me to get enlightened, and that wasn't
So,
happening.
so real quick, I just want to point out that
Yeah.
that proves right there, money does not buy you happiness or enlightenment, because you're just now saying that you and your sister have a very successful coffee business. And a
Yes.
lot of people are thinking, hey, you're a success with your business, you're making all this money. Aren't you happy? And you're
Yes.
finding out that that is not what brings you happiness or enlightenment in your case.
Exactly. And I just felt even more disconnected and dissatisfied because I thought that if I have enough money, or if I make that, the
Mm-hmm.
million mark, I'll be happy, but I wasn't. And it
Mm-hmm.
kind of felt like even more falling apart kind of thing.
Oh.
So the whole process from like 2006 until 2021, let's just say that about like 15 years, it was me falling apart and just letting go of what doesn't serve me. And then
Mm-hmm.
I got married. I moved to US. I started working with Lululemon, just like odd jobs, just working in their corporate. And it was that moment I was like, what am I doing with my life? Like who do I want to be, And I joined IIN. IIN is like Institute of Integrative Nutrition. I got diagnosed with hypothyroid at that time. After pregnancy, I got pregnant, got diagnosed with hypothyroid. I gained close to 250 pounds. I was again, that was the pivotal moment when I got diagnosed with hypothyroid, and had used to have brain fog. So I would just be sitting in my corner and just do nothing, like just be sitting there. I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't able to connect with my baby girl, who was just like, a newborn, and I just didn't have the energy for her, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And this was the moment when I was like, I always thought I wanted to be a coach. Back in 2016, also I'd enrolled in a life coaching school, but I didn't take it seriously. I didn't pursue it. I just kept giving up on myself. Like I was
Mm-hmm.
always like, who am I to be a coach? Like who am I to do this, right? And who's going to
Right.
take me seriously? I just felt like an imposter. I kept putting it off. But this was the time I had to take myself seriously, had to take my health seriously. I had to take everything in my life seriously. Like this was like a make or break moment for me. So I
Mm-hmm.
joined IIN and I was able to reverse my thyroid. I was able to lose all of the weight. And then that kind of became my mission. I decided to be a health coach. Okay.
Okay.
And then I started coaching moms with like their thyroid issues and like their weight issues and the brain fog and all of that. That was really exciting. For the first time, I was able to be a coach in my
Mm-hmm.
life. And that was very rewarding. I loved being a coach. I loved asking people deeper questions and just bringing the gold out of them.
Mm-hmm.
And that, as I started doing that, I was also collaborating with other health and wellness coaches and other business owners. And they were asking for help to help them build their business side of things.
Mm.
And that
Okay.
kind of helped me to step up in this role of being a business coach, where I would help other coaches and business owners to establish their business. But the message would always be coming from your heart center. It's like your the game is spiritual. It's like the more you meet people, the more you spread love and joy, the
Mm-hmm.
more clients you enroll. It's just as simple as that. It's not being salesy. It's not, that gimmicky trying to sell people your course, or like being in the doubt, like being just realizing that we're living in a world where all of us are connected, and we're a family. Like we're not separate. It's like, and that is enlightenment for me. I realized that one day when I was sitting in meditation, it was like a part of me just disappeared, and I can't explain this moment. It's just a part of me was no longer there, and I just felt one with everything and everyone around me. It just felt like I wasn't there, but I was still so much there.
Mm-hmm.
It's very hard to explain that feeling, but I
So was that
felt
your
like,
enlightenment moment?
I mean, a lot of people say that, but I don't want to define that enlightenment. I think enlightenment is all about awakening every day to your higher self. That's what
Gotcha.
it is. It's
Okay.
not a one thing, it's not a breakthrough it is a breakthrough moment, but it's also still evolving. Like the
Sure.
spiritual teachers who say they're enlightened, it's not that they reach somewhere where they completely let go and all of that. I don't think that's what it is. It's just awakening to your higher self, higher, and we just keep evolving, because that's the nature of our spirit. Like we love growing as human beings. We
Mm-hmm.
love evolving. We love challenging ourselves to go to newer heights.
Right.
So enlightenment is just that process of like being lit up, being more awake than you were before.
Sure.
It's
Not
that
not not
awake.
lit, not walking in a routine or being in that fog.
Exactly, exactly. It's like you're more aware than you were before. It's like you get insights faster in your it's like you're not stuck in one thing for long. You're getting
Mm-hmm.
traction in your life. And that only happens when we really tune into our heart space. It's like when you start seeing another individual as yourself, just to mirror. It's like when you start to see people as not separate individuals, but as one, like, the whole world, as we start to see ourselves in them. And that's where we build empathy. That's where we build trust and connection. That's where magic starts to happen. So this is what I started coaching on, with coaches and business owners. Like, obviously having a structure is very important, knowing the logistics and the strategy is so important. But the psychology of it, the mindset, and the heart-centeredness is key. I would say that.
Mm-hmm.
So this is really my story. I don't know if it's a story enough to kind of inspire people, but yeah, that's what it is. Mm.
Well, I mean, going back to Leo, your dog, and as I said in the beginning of this episode, when you and I had our initial call together, and you were telling this story, as you know, I mean, tears welled up in my eyes because of my own situation that happened almost a year ago now, with my own dog Miley, and I had shared with you, and I know that I've not brought this up on the podcast, that this dog came into my life unexpectedly. It was my aunt's dog, and unfortunately, my aunt had to be put in a care facility, and so my cousins asked me if I would take Miley, and I was hemming and hawing because I already had a couple other dogs, but something told me to take this dog. I had her for 7 years. She was the most loving and caring dog ever. This was my constant companion. And like I said, almost a year ago, November the 18th, last year, I had her outside. We were camping, and in the blink of an eye, a coyote came, grabbed her, and took off with her. And it was the most horrific thing that had ever happened to me in many, many years. And but with that, a miracle in many cases came, because with all of my other dogs I had the choice of needing to either put them down or they passed away on their own. Miley was basically just taken away from me. I did not have a collar. I did not get to say goodbye. I had nothing. And 2 days later, another camper was walking on a trail and found this collar, took it to the camp host, and said, I found this collar, and I was wondering if anybody's lost a dog. And the camp host knew what had happened to Miley. And because I had my phone number on Miley's collar, the camp host knew what campsite I was in and was able to return the collar. To me, that was Miley's way of coming to me and saying, I'm okay. Thank you. I love you. Thank you for the life that you gave me. Because she traveled all over the United States with me. The way that you talked about your story with Leo was exactly how my world crushed and disintegrated with Miley leaving. It makes you wonder, that love, that unconditional love. And that is the heart, no pun intended. That's the heart of your story. Because I think so many of us are going through life without ever having anything or anyone that has loved us unconditionally. Or if we have, we didn't realize it until it was gone. And then we do start a soul searching mission as to where does the essence of that love come from? Is it a higher source? Does it come from something or someone? Can we be a complete person on our own, or does it take something else to help complete us? I mean, it brings up all of those questions. And that exactly what you just described to us, Rashi, is exactly what happens with us when we do lose someone or something that is that connected to us. So your journey of looking for that connection and that love source that is that's a powerful message that you're sharing with us. And so I think what it also comes down to, that through this journey, not only are you looking for that love source and how to reconnect with that, besides trying to connect with Leo again, but you realize you have a passion for helping others.
Yes, exactly. Patty, you put it so well. Sometimes I falter with words, but I'm a great question asker, but not very good when when it comes to phrasing things like that. But you're right. So the purpose is really ever since Leo was gone, it was like that um, finding that love, that true love, right? And many mystic teachers that I've read all said the same thing, that it's within you. It's always within you. That unconditional love, that source is within you. And I really wanted to find that. Like, where is it within me? Like, how, and where is it? And as I started meditating and sitting in sessions just by myself, and that one morning when I realized that, oh my God, it's right here, and I started tearing up. It's like I found Leo, but it not in a body, in a physical form, but it was more like, wow, that's so pure. That's love, And it wasn't like I stayed in that moment, but as when I was there in that moment, it was just like, wow, I know it. I knew the answer. It's like my soul knew the answer, but I wasn't able to express that in words, if that makes sense. It's like, these things, that love and that trust and all of that, we're not able to express them in words so much as we're able to feel them, or we're able to know them. We know it instinctively, right? And so that's what the message or the inspiration came to. The way I want to help people is to really return them to their true self, which is their most authentic self, a place where love, trust, and spirit resides. And when they're able to do that, then they're able to coach effectively. They're able to do business effectively. It's like you're out of your own way, It's like coming back to your own self, coming back home, feeling fulfilled, feeling joyful, feeling abundant, and now sharing that with the world in terms of coaching as well. A lot of coaches that I work with have experienced that within themselves. They truly want to coach, but then also there's a part of them that's completely disconnected to that spirit, that essence, the oneness that we all are, that spiritual dimension, let's just call that. And returning home to themselves and being that true, authentic selves, when they coach from that space, it's like magic starts to happen, not in just their lives, but the lives of their clients as well. And that's where you enroll more clients, because again, when you're going on sales calls, it's like going on calls when you're talking to your prospect clients, for example, whether that's business in the business world, the more authentically you show up, the more you have those conversations, those meaningful conversations. And now you're not coming from a strategic or salesy or that masculine, thing, but you're more authentic, you're more genuine, you're really showing them, your clients, where they can get to. But because you're operating from that heart center, you're giving your clients permission to operate from that space as well. And that's what it is all about. It's really about unconditional love and finding that in each other. And really giving that to us, to them.
Well, and going along with what you just said, it's being authentic with all of that, and that love that Miley showed me was exactly that. It was unconditional and it was authentic. It was real.
Yes.
And in the months following her passing, I mean, one of the things that I had shared with you is that after this had happened, my sister-in-law, she is an artful crocheter, and she crocheted a kind of a replica of Miley, which those of you that are on Facebook or YouTube, you can see right now. This is it, and this has become my mascot for my business, Pathways with Patty. And it was through almost that same kind of searching like you were doing for Leo. In that search, my higher source, God, led me to doing this podcast, because it is the way for me to give back unconditionally what Miley and my other fur babies have ever given me. I did not have biological children. I was blessed to have some incredible nieces and nephews, but my children have always been my fur babies. So the same thing, I feel that I'm being so blessed with people like you as guests on my show, that I can be my authentic self, because my guests like you are being your authentic and vulnerable self, of admitting I'm not perfect. I've had obstacles. I've had challenges. I have depressing days. I get down, but I don't let those things stop me from pursuing what I know to be my true passion and purpose. That is what you want to give to other people as well, and that's coming from your heart. That's not coming from your wallet or a business statement. That's coming from a genuine place of love, because you truly want to help other people. And that's the big difference right there. And that's why I think in the intro, why it's so profound, where you say business is a spiritual game. So the more we play this game from our heart and have fun, the more money we make with ease and flow. But I almost think it's, for me personally, it's more about not so much the money, because Lord knows I am not making any money at this point with this podcast, but it is because it is heart centered, because I believe this is part of my ministry of what I'm doing. And because of that, I am having the extreme honor and privilege of interacting, even if it's for a moment in time, with people like you. And that is a true gift.
Wow. That was really profound, Patty. That's amazing. And to be able to be vulnerable and share these things with the audience and on the platform like this, like it's incredible. That's what people want to see. That's the true leaders. That's exactly what people want to see. It's like we don't always, we're not born with money, right? Like, and we don't die with it either, right? So it's
Right.
really, it's just an energy exchange for goods and services that we live in, right? The world.
Yes.
But we're born with love.
Yes.
Our parents, the love that they have, brings us into the world. And the intention that I have is, when I'm on my deathbed, the last breath that I'm taking, I don't want to be living in regrets. I don't want to live in regret. It's like the last breath I'm taking is like, "Ah, Lord, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to die. Like, I'm ready to come in your arms and, feel that unconditional love, if that is the thing. But also to have felt that all my life and not have
Right.
missed a moment to embrace that love, whether it's my relationships, whether it's the people I meet, and the value that I can deliver, whether it involves money or not. Like you're saying, your podcast doesn't bring revenue at this stage,
No.
but the work that you're doing is so incredible that this is the value that you're offering to people, to your audience, to the listeners, and also to the guests that you invite on your podcast, like, and to yourself as well. So it's a value driven mission that you have. And every value, I promise you, Patty, I promise you, like every value that you deliver, like, money is just a byproduct of that. It is going to come, it is going to shower, because you're leading from your heart space. Like, it's a promise. And and you can really count on that. Like, I've seen it in my life when I did not have the money, and I've seen it in my life when I did have the thing, that when I did not have the money, was I just kept going. I just kept showing up. I just kept still connecting with my loved ones, being present with them. That was the only driving force. Love has been the driving force every single time. And just being on client calls, whether or not some of the clients, they don't enroll in your coaching program, and that's completely okay. But just giving them an opportunity and being on the call with them, give them so much clarity that whether or not they decide to work with you or not, that's irrelevant. But they get so much value from that one call with you that their whole life completely changes in the right direction. And that's the intention that you're doing as well, like bringing people on the call so that they can uncover their own story. Sometimes, when we're telling story and you're asking those questions, even I didn't know that was, maybe love was the driving force. It really was, because that Leo's death was actually the turning point for my life to actually, I went into bad relationships. I was in horrible relationships and,
Mhm.
you know, like
Uh-huh.
the ones that were not for me. And, I broke my engagement as well. And then I fell into relationships that were completely disastrous. And I've been in careers that were completely disastrous. I've really had many, many, many setbacks, but they were all like stepping stones rather than setbacks. They were all like learning curves for me to really come into a moment where I love my husband, right?
Mhm.
He's really, really beautiful. And my daughter, oh my God, I never wanted kids. And when she happened, it's like, what? Like, the love that she brings, and it's the same with Leo. It's like every
Mhm.
time I would go to every time I'd come back from somewhere, he would be standing on the door, just you know wagging his tail and just waiting
Mhm.
for me to just come and just hug me. It's the same
Mhm.
thing that kids do. Is by my daughter, if I'm going for a run, she's always waiting, looking at the window and being like, yeah, cheering for me. And when I come back, she's running and coming. Every morning that's the routine. I go for a run and I'm like saying hi to her. And then when I come back, she's like hugging me. So it's really love. And every time I let um, the disappointments and the so-called failures in business, let them come in my relationships, I know I'm set up for failure. Like I would never,
Mhm.
and I did that in the beginning. It was like my business was affecting my personal relationships, my life, the lack of
Mhm.
money. It was all it affects, right? It
Mhm.
it just
Mhm.
it's a ripple effect. Nothing exists in isolation. And it was a day when I decided that I'm gonna put love first, like always. Every day I get up, I'm grateful. And even though I'm having a miserable morning or something is not right, it's like I have a choice. I can either be in the state where I can continue to feel miserable, or I can take a moment and just shake it off and just
Mhm.
remember about the good things that I have in my life. I can be grateful for my daughter, for my husband, for my house, and for the clients that I get to work with, the business that I have, the food that I eat, and just the little things, the fresh air. I come from India where like it's a lot of pollution there. Like the quality of air is not good. And I live in Canada where it's like I go for a run, it's like, like,
I
like
can breathe.
I can breathe. Yes. So I'm really grateful for that. So it's really a choice. Every single moment we have a choice to come back to gratitude, to come back to thanking God. And like every day I falter, every day I get up,
That's
I
being
break down.
human.
That is being human, exactly. So I
Mhm.
think your podcast really has a bigger mission. You're really um, helping people see the human side of things,
Mhm.
and helping people realize that they are infinite, that there's
Mhm.
something within them that's greater, that's
Mhm.
greater and there's bigger. They have a bigger mission, a bigger purpose, and then helping them rediscover that. So I think
Mhm.
it's incredible that the work that you're doing, Patty.
Well, thank you very much for that. When you were talking just a little bit ago, that knowing when you come to the end of your life, you're not about regrets. You're looking over. It's like, wow, what a ride. I mean, that's how I want to look at it. I have never been one that lives with regrets. I look at I had not made the most perfect, choices, but what I have done is with those choices, whether they be good or bad, because there's a consequence that goes along with all of it, is to learn the lesson. And how do I not make that mistake again? And how do I keep moving forward? And that's basically how I created my acronym for the word dash is, I ask people, are you daring to achieve a successful and happy life? And that's different for every single person. But I know that when I meet my maker, I know that I took advantage of the moments that were brought my way, and that I enjoyed the ride. I experienced it to the nth degree, and I pray that I make my part of the world a better place to be. And that's what I know with you wonderful guests that come on here. That's what you are sharing with other people, the same exact thing. That when your time comes to an end, you know, you still have choices to make up to that point. If you don't like the choices you're making right now, there are people out there that have made those same mistakes or very similar mistakes, and they're there to help you, to encourage you, to inspire you, to motivate you, to validate you, to let you know you are not alone on this journey, whatever your journey may be. And when it comes to life coaching, I think that many people, there is still this stigma of looking at a life coach as being someone that's like a therapist or a psychiatrist or a psychologist. And none of us want to think, we're crazy, or, we can't help ourselves, or that we're flawed and nobody can do anything about it. No one wants to admit that we just can't do it ourselves. The first step in creating a life that's filled with purpose and passion is always admitting, you know what, I cannot do this by myself. I need somebody else. And that's where a life coach can come in. They're not trying to fix you. They are helping you to uncover and rediscover things about yourself that maybe you forgot about or never realized about yourself. And then taking that discovery and helping you show you a pathway. They're not telling you how to do it. They're assisting you on how to create that path forward.
Yeah.
And so that's what you're doing when you work with people. Is that correct, Rashi? You're helping people discover either what they have forgotten or never realized. It's not about them being a mistake, or that they're not worthy, or that there's something wrong with them mentally. This is about self-care and self-love. This is about doing because your life matters. I say that at the end of every podcast episode. Your life matters. And with that, that is what a life coach reminds you, is your life matters. You mean something. You are here for a purpose. And that is to get that passion and go with it.
Absolutely. Really well said, Patty. Exactly what it is. Our soul, we all have something deeper that's going within us. And if we're not listening to that, if we're not listening to our soul, we're really missing out. These days, the FOMO word is like fear of missing out. It's a big thing, right? And we live in a world of instant gratification. We have choices these days. We didn't have that back in the day where we were, right?
Right.
The technology is advanced and everything's just happening. We've got Uber Eats, we've got Uber Driver, like everything is just there, Amazon Prime.
Yes.
But if we're not listening to our soul, if we're not listening to our spirit, we feel disconnected, we feel empty then, really. And I felt that for years. I was not living, I had degrees, right? Like, don't get me wrong. Like I worked in an IT company. I had my own coffee shop, but something within me was completely empty. It's like, I'm not living my purpose, what I'm meant to do on this planet Earth, my mission, my purpose. And every time I go into coaching calls, with my clients, it's like, oh my God, I feel so happy being here, this is the place I have to be. This is the place I'm meant to be.
Well, and I think you also know as a life coach that really for a lot of the people that you're having these discovery calls with, the hardest part for them was making the appointment in the first place.
Yes, absolutely was. Absolutely. And that's where, the heart-centered approach comes in as well. Like, business is really a reflection of who you are. Like, every time your business will reflect where you are in your journey. Your business is really your baby, your first baby, or, if you've got babies before, then it's your second baby. But it's really, if you're organized, you look at your desktop and you look at your wardrobe, if it's like organized, everything is organized, that reflects the state of your mind. It's completely like that. Look at your desktop, look at a computer. Do you see a lot of folders? Do you see a lot of all over the place, right? And if you see a wardrobe, are the clothes just thrown off or everything is neat? It's like the outer world reflects our inner state, and the inner state also reflects the outer world. So really, it's like the discovery calls is when you're really taking a heart-centered approach. Asking difficult questions to people is also very important. And it's not to put people off. It's really to awaken something within them. Hey, you know what? You need to take action. You need to move. Because if this is important to you, like for me, it's like really shaking people up and like, if this business is really important to you and if you're not making the money, why don't we get on a call and really learn what is holding you back from making the income that you desire? And that's where the heart-centered approach comes in. It's like asking deeper questions, because that's my forte. I love asking people questions. It's like, I'm not the type of person who gives advice more than like bringing the gold out of them, because we all have the answers within us, you know. And
Exactly.
that's where the
Exactly.
coach comes into the value of the coach. It separates them from a therapist. It's like asking questions so you can move past that obstacle, whatever's holding you back. It's not just listening. Maybe therapy might be different. And it's like, you know, you're telling your own story again and again, and it's helpful. Therapy is helpful. Not at all saying that it's not.
Right.
But coaching
Correct.
takes a step further. You know, it's like, yes, there's someone who's going to listen to you, but also someone who's going to ask you high mileage questions, powerful questions, so that
Yes.
it's helping you transform into a different person altogether.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
shifting your identity. You know, it's
Mm-hmm.
really, you're not living from the older beliefs anymore. It's like you're a new, different person. And when
Right.
you operate life from that higher self, like you were saying, that higher spirit, life is different. Your
Yes.
life is different, your business is
Yes.
different, your relationships are different. And that's where in India, like where I come from, always like it's a country of gods and goddesses. You know, it's like it's a belief and it's a known fact that we're all meant to be gods and goddesses. We're all meant to live an abundant life with, you know, if you see
Mm-hmm.
Indian gods and goddesses, they're decorated in ornaments and the gold jewelry and they're wearing the saris and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
This is who we are meant to be. We are meant to live an abundant, a luxurious, a beautiful life, but it's our beliefs that hold us back. The belief that money doesn't grow on trees, or you know, the belief that oh, it's not enough to get by, or you know, money is hard to make. All of these beliefs, that the cultural beliefs that economy is tight, inflation is high, all of that really keep ourselves small by those beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
But if we shake ourselves from that belief, it's like we wake up and we're like, you know what? God is there backing me up. I'm God's child. If you know, if that person, whoever, like your idol, Tony Robbins, let's just say the guru, right?
Mm-hmm.
The if he can have it all, like why can't I? Like why not
Mm-hmm.
me, right? Why can't I live that kind of life? And it's not about, like you were saying, it's not about the money. It's about living a high quality life, you know,
Right.
making a greater impact, supporting the donations, the company, the charities that you want to support. You know, there's this,
Mm-hmm.
I'm really passionate about supporting children with like disabilities and all of that. I want to live that dream, you know. I really want
Mm-hmm.
to support. I don't want to live in my bank account and be like, that child in India is suffering. I want to be able to contribute my part. Like that's what
Mm-hmm.
money does to you. You get to live a high quality life where you're making a bigger impact, not just in your own life, but in the lives of other people. Like it's not holding you back anymore.
Right, right. Well, you know, kind of going along with that, it made me think about my last 20 years basically that I was teaching. I was an activities director, and one of the things I was in charge of was prom. And you would see these kids at school every day, how they're dressed, how they behave, how they look, their body language, their posture, all this kind of stuff. And then you'd find out, you know, some of these kids are going to be, you know, they're going to prom, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, you know what a problem they are, you know, at school, and you're hoping this doesn't happen, or, you know, that sort of thing. And then the day of prom comes, and you see these kids get out of the car, and they're dressed really nice. Their hair is fixed. Their posture's different. They've got a different look on their face. Just everything about them is completely different than what you've seen every single day. And the reason I bring that up is it's kind of the same type of thing. I have seen people that before they have worked with a life coach, and as they are working with a life coach, and once they have completed, it's the same type of thing. You start to see their mannerisms in the way they hold themselves, their posture, their facial expressions, how some of them start exercising and they're losing weight, or they start eating healthier. Because as you uncover these things that for many of us that over the years we just keep suppressing and bringing down, that weighs on us in so many different ways. And when you work with a life coach, it's like peeling back the parts of an onion. And as each layer gets peeled off, we get lighter, and we feel better about ourselves and about our part of the world and the people that we interact with. And we also get aware of the fact, are we taking in too much news or too much social media? Do we think that that's really how we're supposed to or should be living our life, instead of living the life that's good for us, not because it's good for somebody else, but because it's good for us and it's what we want.
Yeah.
So you see a physical and mental change working with a life coach. I mean, it's exciting to watch that process happen.
Yes.
And I can't think of, I mean, I can think of many other areas I can where it's so fulfilling. But as a life coach, I know that you must experience not only the joy that it reinforces for you, how you want to live your life, but as you see this happening to other people, you know that you're in your heart zone.
Yes.
You're doing
Absolutely.
what you were meant to do.
Absolutely, absolutely. It just lights me up, Patty. Exactly
Yeah.
what you said. It's like it's bringing people to realize that they're more than just that average Joe, just that
Mm-hmm.
they're not who they think they are. They're more, they're infinite. And a lot of people, like, especially including myself, have been in this place where have so low self-worth. We don't love
Mm-hmm.
ourselves. We prioritize everyone else in our life. And prioritizing everyone else is fine, but also prioritizing ourselves, like, that's very, very important. And coaching can help you do that. Like, coaching can help you shift from that space where you're always feeling like you're a victim in life,
Right.
that life is happening to you. Coaching helps you see that life is actually happening for you. So why not play this game bigger? Why not play
Mm-hmm.
this game called life bigger? It's the same with business coaching. Why not play this game called business from your soul? Play it as a spiritual game.
Yes.
People make business very, very serious, like they take business really seriously. And for me, it's like, yes, take your business sincerely, but don't take it so seriously. Don't give your power away, even to your
Yes.
business, right?
Right. Yes.
Take that
Yes.
power back to yourself, where you can be totally present in each moment. You're connecting with people in your lives, and you're really living a fulfilled, meaningful life. It's not just rushing through life and reaching at the end of, and, being on your deathbed, like we were saying,
Mm-hmm.
and then regretting, oh my God, where did my life go? Like,
Right.
all these years, like, I haven't done that, I haven't done that, I haven't done that. And then what's the point of it all, right? But
Right.
instead, shifting in that perspective, like, I only have this moment. And we really do have this moment. Eckhart Tolle says that so many times. It's like the present is all we have. We
Right.
think that there's future, and it's good to plan for it as well. But
But it's not a
really,
guarantee.
it's not a guarantee, exactly. And the only guarantee we have is the now. So, how do we want to live that? How do we
Mm-hmm.
want to take our lives moment to moment to moment? And the one thing that I keep asking myself that question is, how would my future self thank me if I make this choice in this moment? It's like instant gratification. Like, I've always had that thing, instant
Mm-hmm.
gratification, going for that piece of cake because I just want to have it, right?
Exactly. You only live
But
once.
right?
Eat the
Because
cake
we only live
first.
once. But now it's different, if it's like, what would my future self really thank me for if I don't choose that option, but if I choose a healthier option?
Mm-hmm.
Then, I know that the future is not guaranteed, but again, asking yourself, looking at yourself from that end result, who would I like to be? It's not that
Mm-hmm.
living on a deathbed, I'll be like, oh, thank God I ate that chocolate cake.
Exactly.
Right? It's like, oh my God, I really listened to myself. I was really
Mm-hmm.
listening to my soul. I was really living my purpose. I was being in my mission. I
Mm-hmm.
did the work that God wanted me to do. I became a vessel for God's work in this world. And
Mm-hmm.
that's when we get out of our own way. It's like, let God flow through us,
Mm-hmm.
being the channel for that, through your work, like you're doing. You're really letting the higher self flow through you, the higher source, like you were saying, flow through you through this podcast, connect with people, make meaningful connections, drive your heart space, and bring love into this community. And that's
Mm-hmm.
the work that you're meant to do as well.
Mm-hmm.
Coaching, of course, is the space that you want to.
Well, and when you just mentioned about encouraging people not to give their power away, that reminds me of a saying that I said when I was teaching, and I continue to say is don't let other people yuck your wow. We
Yeah.
come up with these ideas or plans for our lives that we want to do, and we get really excited about it. And it always seems like there's that one particular person that we shared our wow with, and they're like, well, what do you want to do that for? That's a dumb idea. And so they yuck
Yes.
your wow.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, they didn't like it, so it must be stupid. And you give your power away to that one individual that yucked your wow.
Yes.
When you find that you're with your people that you work with, when you find that that is an issue, that they have let somebody yuck their wow, what is your response to them on how they should respond to somebody that yucks their wow?
It's asking them question like, who are they giving their power away to? Again, it's like bringing them back to that. As children, when we grow up, we are really dependent on our parents, on our caregivers, right? It's kind of like ingrained in us. When we grow up as children, we are giving our power away to our parents because we really have no choice. They
Right.
care for us, and we're really helpless in the beginning and all of that. But we kind of carry that mentality throughout. And it's in that moment, it's like, when am I really going to take my power back? When am I really going to step in my own power and not really just hand it over? And it really bringing them back to self-love. Again, it's all about yourself. It's like discovering yourself again and again and again, rediscovering yourself. It's like we know who we are, and then connecting them to that infinite, that source, God. Imagine that we were God's children, because we are an expression of God. Animals are an expression of God. Plants are an expression, but we might be the highest expression of God, right? We're speaking, we're doing so many things, we're creating buildings, and we're doing big things. So really honoring that and not thinking less of ourselves, like really thinking that we're the creativity, we're the creative flow. And if we just give our power away, that makes us just, what is the point of it? Like, why is that so important? So if I haven't actually encountered that, so it's a good question. It's more like when I work with my clients, it's like the fear of whether they're going to enroll clients or not. It's like the big fears that we deal with, whether I'm going to enroll the clients or not, whether I'm going to get that, that business or not, that business deal or not. It's all about that. So really bringing them back to what truly matters. What's their bigger vision for themselves? How would they like to operate from their higher self? Like in that moment, what is called of them to do?
Right.
Who do they want to be in that moment? And it always comes back to, you know what? I really want to be grounded. I really want to be sure of myself. I want to be operating from a sense of love. It's a common thing, Patty. It's like every single client, it's like, I want to come from a place of love and service. Like, I don't want to come from a place of neediness. I don't want to come from a place of yuckiness or like ickiness or like salesy and all of that. It's like coming from a place of surety of who you are and just giving value. And then when you do that, single most thing, take care of yourself. When you're going on the sales call or discovery calls, take care of yourself and be grounded, be in that spirit of love, and just see what happens. It's just being curious, not trying to sell or push people in your program. That's not, it's not, because even if you do that, eventually you would not love working with those clients. Like, it was a situation. You want to work with your clients that are on the same frequency.
Sure.
Understand your values, and that's why we build a client profile. Like, well, who are those type of people that you want to work with? Let's get clear. So it's a lot of getting clarity on who are your people, who would you love to work with, and why do they speak to you? It really relates to your own story, like you were saying. Like, you and I connected because we have a common story of our dogs, right?
Yes.
And so if we work together, it'll be a great match because we just understand each other, the heart of it all, the heart of love, the heart of oneness, the heart of unconditional love, right?
Yes.
So it's the same thing with my clients as well. It's like, who is it exactly that you want to work with, and what do you want to help them with? What is the outcome that you see in their life? What is the transformation that you're seeing, that whether after they worked with you, who do you see,
Right.
and when you tell them that, when you show them that vision, that transformation, it's like, wow, I can't believe that this is who I'm going to be, and that's like,
It's very
what would it
exciting.
it is very exciting because now they're able to see their higher self,
Sure. Yes.
right? And they
Yes.
are excited. Everyone wants to evolve. Our souls want to evolve. And if a coach can help them do that, it's like we're just being a channel for their transformation, just being a vessel of God's work. Again, remembering that and honoring that we're not doing quote unquote anything other than
Right.
asking them the right questions,
Yes.
powerful, deep questions, not being scared or
Helping them to
afraid.
self-discover.
Exactly, exactly. And a lot of like coaches get stuck because they feel like, I'm afraid to ask them that question. Of course, they're afraid because they're not able to see themselves as themselves. Like that
Right.
oneness is missing. And that's where it's like, see themselves in you. Like, what is the
Yep.
common points? And then
Yep.
like, oh my God, so much common. Like, she could be my sister or brother.
Well, and really, I mean, that's why there are so many different life coaches out there, because we're all different people and we all have different needs and we all have different ways that we connect with people.
Yes.
And so when you have found that right, that perfect life coach, you do click with that person, and
Yes.
it is amazing what transpires out of that relationship.
Yeah.
It's incredible. So, Rashi, what would you say is the best advice that anyone has ever given you?
That's a great question. My coach, actually, this morning I was I have my own coach, of course. And I think the best advice that I've got is really to lead from your heart space. If there's one advice, it's like tune into that heart space, that place where love resides. And then the awareness of that love itself is a route for transformation. That's really exactly what you need. It's just when you tune into your heart space, and it can feel a bit woo-woo, like how do you do that? It's like really come back, put your attention on your heart right now, which is at the center of your chest, not the left side, which is the heart, right? But the heart, it's like, when we say I love you, it's like we're holding like that. It's like the middle, the chest, right? Come back to that and see what happens. It's usually not noisy there. It's usually not noisy. It's noisy up here.
Yes.
Very
Yes.
much in the headspace, right? But coaching and connecting in business is all about the heart game. It's like tuning into the heart space and then asking questions, not being afraid. This is where courage is born. When we say like, I dare, I
Yes.
dare. It's not coming from here, I dare. No, it's coming from here. It's coming from your heart space. Like, I dare to do this. My soul is coming out. It's like that profoundness, that feeling, that emotion.
Right.
And when we're leading our lives from emotion, like it becomes really powerful. It becomes really, really powerful. It's like we're out of the headspace, which is very noisy, very crowded, very much doubtful, the fears and all of that reside here. It's like, oh,
like, get out of your head.
Get out of your head, come into the heart space, see the magic, see the love, and lead your life from there. And then see what happens, what life brings to you. You will thank it because that's the real stuff, the gold.
Yes, very good. So what would you say that right now at this point in your life that you are passionate about personally and professionally?
Well, personally, I'm passionate about personal transformation. Like I'm always, 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 always going to my next levels, like my higher self. I'm always evolving. I never say that I've arrived. It's like always arriving,
Yes.
There's no stopping or going ahead. But that's the path. I'm enjoying that, being on that journey and like really unfolding what's coming for me. Professionally, it's all about giving value. That's what I'm passionate about, like really inviting people on calls, my clients as well, just give maximum value, give more value than any other business owner is giving, like any other business coach is giving, with whether that's in the form of trainings, whether that's in the form of videos, like whatever that is, or whether that's in front, in terms of like your discovery calls. Take them deeper. Don't be afraid to dive deep into their lives. Really, they will thank you for it. We can ask difficult questions, like don't hold back.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
what I'm all about right now.
Wonderful. So what would you say right now at this point in your life that your purpose personally and professionally is?
Great question. My purpose right now is to inspire excellence in whatever you do. In whatever you do, aim for excellence, be consistent, and build your focus. It's like we are living in such a distracted world right now. If our focus, if our attention is not where we want it to be, then time would just go by and we're just
Mhm.
distracted. The whole life will go by. So your focus is your biggest asset. So having that focus, map out your whole day calendar because you're going to be busy. So instead of I love this quote. It's like, take action, not fake it. So a lot of people are
Ah,
action faking and not action taking. We pretend to be so busy, right?
uh-huh.
So this is really my purpose, to channel my energy and be really focused um, in creating my dreams and just being on that path consistently, just really taking action in the right direction
Mm-hmm.
and not being distracted and not being distracted by instant gratification, like the things that
Mm-hmm.
are thrown in our life, but just maintaining, taking control, taking my power back. That's my purpose.
Excellent. What would you say is your superpower?
My superpower is listening. I'm a great listener, Patty. I love listening to people. Ever since I was a kid, that's what I would just sit there and every time I was, just listen to people. What are they saying? And I love doing that as a coach as well. Of course, I have trainings that I walk my
Sure.
clients through, before we come on
Yes.
coaching calls, but it's really asking deeper questions like, okay, that's where you are. What about that? And how did you get to that? And that's what just listening to people, because when you can unconditionally be present for people, that's what our dogs do. So I really
Mm-hmm.
want to be my dog, to be
Mm-hmm.
honest.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be unconditionally present for people, really be in that space where no one else is able to listen to them so powerfully. That's my superpower. I
Wow.
love listening to people, but not just listening for the heck of listening, but listening so that I can take them deeper into their life and their
Won-
challenges or whatever they're facing and help
And
them overcome that.
that's a wonderful superpower. How are you living your best life? Or as I always like to say, how are you living your best dash?
Mm. And I love how you say it, dash. It's like, what, a dare? Can you say that again?
Daring to achieve a successful and happy life, because at the end of our life, as we've been mentioning here today, when you see someone's headstone, you see a date of birth, there's a dash mark, and there is a date of death. That dash mark represents that person's life and time here on earth. So when you see that dash, what does it represent to you on how they lived their life on earth? Was it a life of would-haves and should-haves and could-haves? Or was it a life that took advantage of those moments and those opportunities when they came around? So I created an acronym for the word dash, because we're all going to have one of those someday.
Yes.
Are you daring to achieve a successful and happy life? So what would you say is, how are you living your very best life or your very best dash?
Yeah, that's a great, very powerful question. So, having a vision for your life is, of course, the first starting point. Like your soul knows. You're listening to your soul. So, listening, really paying attention to what your soul is saying and not avoiding it. It's calling. That's the
Mm-hmm.
purpose, not avoiding the calling of that. Like if you're stuck, for example, I don't know if your audience, like maybe they're stuck in a 9 to 5 job that they don't really enjoy, right? And they feel like their soul is calling them to be deeper, to live a deeper life. So for me, it's all about living my calling, but living in such a way that I'm always operating at my peak performance. What I mean by that is living every single day as if it's the last.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can do that every single day, and it's not that I'm able to do it every single day,
Right.
you know,
It's
but
not
that's the
easy.
intention. Not easy. So every time I wake up, I have a ritual in place. I every time I wake up, I've got a wardrobe set up. It's like these are my workout clothes. I just grab them, go for a run. I know that I'm gonna get, because I've got thyroid, right? So it's like the brain fog is gonna come if I don't take
Mm-hmm.
care of my health. I will not be able to experience my life. So taking care of my health, that's the first thing. Being in that space of gratitude, doing yoga, setting my morning really, really right, having a morning ritual in place. That's the first thing. Setting a calendar for what is to come for the day, to set a schedule. It's like by hour, by hour, by hour, what am I doing? And then engaging myself in deep work, whether that's client calls, whether that's recording a new training, whatever that is, or connecting with new people, whatever that is, I know how my day is going to unfold. So having an intention, having a vision, not just for your own life, but actually having it for the whole day as well, gets you really organized, because we
Mm-hmm.
only have 24 hours. All of us have only 24 hours,
Mm-hmm.
and to make the most out of our lives, like we really need to plan it ahead. We need
Right.
every single day. It's like, I don't waste my time thinking of what dress I'm going to wear. I know exactly what I'm going to wear, right? I don't waste
Uh-huh.
my time thinking what I'm going to eat. I know exactly every morning I'm going to eat oats, from Monday to Friday, and then
Mm-hmm.
weekends is separate.
Mm-hmm.
Every single night I know what dinner I'm going to eat, because it's going to prepare me for the next morning. I'm not going to have a brain fog. I'm not going to have a hangover. I don't drink alcohol. Like keeping myself not against alcohol at all, but it
Right.
doesn't work for me
Right.
personally. So I know exactly what my body needs, listening to my body, listening to my soul. I think I'm living my purpose in that, and just being excellent, pursuing excellence, and just delivering the best to my clients that they're like, wow, like this is it.
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Well,
like
you're leading by example. That's
mhm,
what you're doing. So in that you are living your best dash. So
right.
kudos to you, my dear. Excellent. Are there any final thoughts of words of wisdom that you would like to share with our audience?
Well, if I, some the reason that I'm doing this is because my inspiration is my daughter. Ever since, Leo passed away, the most unconditional love I've experienced is in my daughter. She's 2 years old, and she's always inspiring me to live my best life. Because if I don't do that, right, then she's automatically, unconsciously, she's picking up on the things that I do. If I'm not living in alignment of what I say, and if I'm saying something, if I'm not doing that thing, the message that I'm sending to her is that it's okay to not do what you say.
Right.
So I want to be that leader for her that she looks up to. And
Mm-hmm.
she's my inspiration to be great at what I do,
Mm-hmm.
because then that inspires her to be great and create a bigger impact in this world as well. Because we're here for service. Like we are here to serve people. We are here to serve our humanity. We're here to serve, create a meaning, create an impact in this world. We can only do that if we're living it. We're, like you said, if we're role models, then we can inspire others to do that.
Yeah.
And so these are really my final words. If there's any parents listening to that, please be what you want your kids to be. Don't say it and then don't be that, because I know
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
very hard. It's mixed messaging to your kids, and
Yes.
the future depends on us, who we are. Our future kids are looking up to us to be great leaders, really. So if
Mm-hmm.
we can be those role models, it sets our future generation for success, and they can do bigger things in our life. They can create bigger things. They can invent bigger things. Really, they can. We have to move past this instant gratification, this thing of like
Mm-hmm.
FOMO and all of that, so that we can achieve more and make this world a better place.
Most definitely. Well, thank you so much, Rashi, for being my guest today. I mean,
Thank
you
you.
are a joy, and I know that our conversation could go on much longer. Whether anybody would want to continue to listen to us, I mean, I've enjoyed our time together. Could you please tell everyone how they can connect with you?
Yes, absolutely. The funny thing is that my website has been on coming soon for ages, for months. And the only place that you can connect me is just find me on Facebook. It's just my profile says Rashi Nayar, or you can find me on Instagram. I make a lot of reels there as well. Rashi Nayar Wellness is what it's called by, but that's RASHI space NAYAR. That's my name. You can really look me up on LinkedIn as well. I've got a great LinkedIn profile. So really connect me, send me a hi. I'd love to just connect with you there. Yeah. And sorry, I don't have a website yet. I've got a website that says coming soon, but I need to get that up and running.
It's all about how they can connect with you, because I know after this conversation, many people are going to want to do that. So if you happen to be one of the listeners out there that you know that you want to connect with Rashi, then don't panic too much. Know that when you look at the description, whether you're watching on YouTube or one of the podcast formats, that in the description is her links that she just talked about. And all you need to do is go to that. You'll be able to connect through social media. And I encourage you to definitely connect with her. If you've been thinking about maybe looking into getting a life coach, Rashi is a wonderful start to that process. You will not be disappointed, as you can tell from our conversation we've had here today. Once again, Rashi, thank you, thank you, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Patty. It's been an honor having our conversations, and just being in your presence is it's a joy.
Thank you so much. And for all of you out there listening, remember to subscribe and follow this podcast, and go ahead, invite your family and friends to also join as well. And while you're at it, how about if you hit that 5-star rating and write a review? That would be absolutely awesome. I would really appreciate that. And don't forget to check out my website at www.pathwayswithpatty.org and sign up for a Zoom chat with me, or if you'd like to be a guest on the podcast, that's another way to get in touch with me. And you could be on here sharing your words of wisdom and your superpowers and all those things that your passion and purpose is about your life, and share that with others. So until we meet again, continue to live your best dash, and know that life's an adventure, and I want you to enjoy the journey, because your life matters. Thank you for joining us today, and may God bless you all.